Hello everyone, let's get started with our group's presentation. You can check out the details of our group member here. Okay, my name is Liu Yiran. Today I'm going to talk about the framework and the current state of competition law and policy in ASEAN. We begin by looking at the origins and the stage of development of the system. In 1992, ASEAN started the free trade area, and the member countries began slowly getting rid of tariff barriers. As the market opened more, private competition started showing anti-competitive behavior more often. So it became important to deal with these issues through formal rules. At the stricter drug playing level, the 2004 Vientiane Action Plan first included competition policy on the regional integration agenda. The 2007 AEC Blueprint then made competition law one of the four key pillars of the economic community. By 2014, the AEC was officially up and running. Okay, next, we will looking at the legal nature and the instructions features of ASEAN competition law. ASEAN competition law is more like soft law. Most of the regional documents are just guidelines of frameworks that are not binding, so member countries have full control over whether and when to follow them. For example, when Cambodia passed its new laws in 2021, it only went with some of the regional recommendations. Next, when it comes to the implementation structure, ASEAN uses a decentralized approach. One, AEGC handles policy exchange and capacity building. Two, ASEAN take care of cross-border information cooperation, but doesn't have any investigative power. Three, ACCC is in charge of coordinating action plans and providing training assistance, though it also lacks enforcement and arbitration over power. Okay, next, the institutional harmonization of competition policy in Asia depends on three key documents. First is guidelines on competition policy and law from 2010 set minimal legislative status and clearly bans states like cartels, abuse of dominant market position, and excessive concentration of operators. Second, the major river guidelines. Third is the competition policy action plan. Okay. Okay, this one has 3 points. 1 point is function of the core economic objective. You can see, and second is function of the regional integration objective. Okay, third is a function of social balance objective. You can see. Okay, this one is when it comes to instruction building, ASEAN has made several positive achievements. First, legislation has been widely adopted. Our member countries now have their own competition laws, achieving 100% legislative coverage. Second is perspective building has improved. Lastly, public participation has increased. Okay, this one is the same time the ASEAN competition law system and several limitations. First, it lacks legal instructions. Regional policies are not mandatory. Cross-border cars harding relies on voluntary cooperations, and many cashier cars and hard resolve. Second, institutional capabilities are limited. Third, there are significant differences in rules. Lastly, coordination costs are high and AC require multiple declarations, leading to long enforcement periods and resources wastes.
Hi everyone. So now I'm gonna talk about comparative evaluation with the international organizations and national competition laws. So ASEAN's competition framework relies on voluntary cooperation, non-binding guidelines, accommodate diverse political and economic landscapes, strength flexibility, and its challenge is enforcement difficulties and inconsistencies. So now I'm gonna move to talk briefly about European Union model. So supranational system with binding competition rules. European Commission holds strong enforcement power and unified competition law application across member states and effective cross-border case management. ASEAN lacks supranational authority. Enforcement is national. So I'm gonna move to talk about United States. Strong federal law enforced by FTC and DOJ. These organizations, Sherman Act and Clayton Act, empower enforcement, applies effect doctrine for extraterritorial jurisdiction, robust law and international cooperation. ASEAN use voluntary soft law and informal exchange. So regional frameworks emphasize sovereignty and voluntary cooperation, structured transparency, navigation and peer review process. So soft mechanisms improve cooperation and predictability. ASEAN could adopt similar tools for better coordination. So now I'm gonna talk about the challenges and opportunities for ASEAN. So flexibility allows diverse legal and economic system, enforcement constraint, regulatory complexity, harmonization, navigation, three holds and procedures could help, and empowering AEGC could improve enforcement effectiveness. So now I'm gonna move in conclusion. ASEAN's framework limited by voluntary nature and no supranational authority, full reapplication of UA or US, I mean European or US American models unrealistic, selective adoption of harmonization, coordination, and capacity building recommended. Environmental reforms balance sovereignty with regional integration, leads to a more coherent and effective competition regime. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, next my part of introduction is interaction between ASEAN framework and domestic laws of member states. Well, first, diversity in member states' domestic competition laws. The domestic competition laws of ASEAN member states vary significantly. Singapore and Indonesia has well-established systems with independent enforcement authorities. Singapore's Competition Act of 2004 and the Competition Commission of Singapore empower comprehensive anti-competitive behavior investigation and strict penalties. Indonesia's Komisi Pengawas Persaingan Usaha actively regulates sectors like telecommunications and banking. In contrast, Cambodia laws and Myanmar are at early legislative stage. Their newly enacted laws face challenges in enforcement due to limited resources, lack of expertise, and low awareness among businesses and the public. Second is interactive pardons, coordination and conflict. The ASEAN framework promotes legal convergence by encouraging member states to prohibit recall anti-competitive conduct. Cartels, abuse of dominant market positions, and anti-competitive mergers. In response, many members have adjusted their domestic laws accordingly. Domestic practices also influence ASEAN regional policies. Successful domestic merger control and leniency programs have provided valuable lessons for regional guidance. However, conflicts persist. Differences in economic development levels lead to variation in defining anti-competitive behaviors, making full alignment difficult. And the third part is key conflict in institutional fractions, disparities in merger control ratios, leniency criteria, and market definition methods create confusion for businesses. For example, Singapore's high-level ratios contrast with low-level ones. Varying leniency term and market definition approaches undermine regional anti-counter efforts and consistency in market dominance assessment. Jurisdictional overlap in cross-border cases cause duplicated investigations and inconsistent outcomes. Without binding cooperation mechanisms for cross-border evidence sharing and decision recognitions, authorities struggle to build comprehensive cases and enforce decisions across borders effectively. The last part is assessment of coordination mechanism. ASEAN has established information sharing platforms, issued guidelines, and organized capacity building programs. This effort facilitates experience exchange and improve enforcement capabilities in less developed members. However, more authoritative dispute resolution mechanisms are needed. Current conflict lack efficiency, bidding solutions, leading to legal uncertainties. Additionally, stronger Alignment tools are required to ensure domestic laws better comply with the ASEAN framework, such as a formal harmonization processes. In conclusion, the interaction between the ASEAN framework and domestic laws are a mix of cooperation and conflict. While progress has been made, addressing exciting challenges is essential for a unified and effective regional competition law environment.
Bodies. However, the effectiveness of this framework remains limited due to several structural and institutional challenges. General evaluations. The ASEAN's model relies heavily on voluntary corporations and soft law instruments, which has allowed flexibility and respect for national sovereignty. This approach has successfully encouraged policy dialogues and capacity building efforts across the regions. However, the lack of binding commitments and enforceable mechanisms limits and ability of ASEAN to address anti-competitive conduct that transcends borders. The implementations of competitions law is also uneven, reflecting disparities in institution maturity and legal standards among members of states. Key challenges. 4 core challenges continue to hinder ASEAN's regional competitions regime. First of all, the absence of legal enforceability means that regional recommendations have no binding effect. Second one, there is no supranational authority or effective cross-border enforcement framework, which is critical for handling cases involving multinational entities. And third, wide disparities in legal rules, administrative process and institution capability across states create a fragmented enforcement environment. And finally, last one, political sensitivity around national sovereignty make it difficult to negotiate deeper legal integrations such as centralized enforcement or a regional competitions court. Future reform and enhancement. To overcome these obstacles, ASEAN should pursue both short and long-term reforms. In the short to mid, it should focus on harmonizing merger reviews standards, creating common notifications templates, and strengthening the mandate of ASEAN bodies like the ASEAN Experts Group on Competitions and ASEAN Competitions Enforces Network. Additionally, introducing a semi-formal dispute mediation mechanism called cross-border improve coordinations without threatening sovereignty. In the long term, ASEAN should consider negotiating minimally binding ASEAN competition agreements outlining shared core principles. This would set the groundwork of institutionalizing regional corporations and strengthening the ASEAN's competition commissions. Should be empowered to coordinate cross-border investigations and overseas or regional competitions commission. Should be include cross-border and overseas merger notification system similar to the EU's one-stop shop model. Moreover, sustained investment in technical assistance and training is essential to close enforcement capacity gaps among less developed member states. Concluding outlook. Moving forward, ASEAN must navigate the delicate balance between national sovereignty and the need of the deeper regional corporations, transitioning from a model of soft coordination to one of shared governance will require political will, legal innovations, and a long-term visions. While the path toward an integrated regional competition regime is gradual, and it is vital for ensuring a level playing field, fostering market integrations, and enhancing consumer welfare across Southeast Asia. Thank you very much. It is a part of my presentation. Take care. Bye-bye.
Part 5. Synthesis and Strategic Imperatives for Asian Integration. First, core synthesis, flexibility with effectiveness. Asia's soft law approach successfully fostered dialogue and domestic adoption, but inherently limits enforcement and market integration. 1.2. Significant progress exists in national laws and regional platforms, yet fragmentation, for example, divergent rules, capacities, weak cross-border mechanisms persist. Second, critical imperative and pathway. 2.1 Address enforceability. Move beyond aspirational guidelines towards mechanisms with tangible consequences from non-cooperation. 2.2 Balance sovereignty and integration. Design frameworks respecting sovereignty while enabling effective regional oversight, for example, cross-border cases. 2.3 Drive gradual institutionalization. 2.3.1 Short or mid-term. Prioritize harmonization in key areas such as mergers, leniency, and strengthen soft coordination. For example, templates and mediation. 2.3.2 Long-term goal. Build trust towards minimally binding core rules and empower regional bodies, for example, ACCC, for specific cross-border functions. Asia's competition framework has laid crucial groundwork. Achieving a truly integrated, competitive single market, however, requires evolving beyond the purely voluntary cooperation by strategically enhancing enforceability, balancing sovereignty with integration needs, and committing to face the institutional strengthening. Asian can transition its unique mode from soft coordination towards effective shared rule governance, unlocking the region's full competitive potential. Thank you.